All right, welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Outlook. Today is April 21st, and we are going to discuss the markets, the charts, and what we might be able to expect happen in the next week. So a couple weeks ago, we noticed that the DXY dollar strength chart here was breaking, and that helped us see a potential fall in the markets, and that's exactly what we had. In fact, we had the biggest red week of the year on the S&P and on the NASDAQ and the Dow Jones. But we came down and hit that 21 EMA nicely. I think it was like Wednesday I said that we're at least going to go here, and that's exactly where we landed. So the 21 EMA helped us figured out where we were going on this chart, and then the NASDAQ actually went below it. So the only thing that really kind of makes me think this could keep going down is this NASDAQ candle. Whenever you have a candle that closes or opens above the EMAs and then closes below both of them in one shot, that's a pretty bearish indication. Same thing goes on the flip side. You know, if you have a candle that starts underneath both of them and then shoots through all of it and then closes above, that's a very bullish indication. So I don't want to say that we're just going to go straight into a bear market, because you can't take, one really bad week like that and make that kind of a sort of an assessment. The EMAs are not bearish; they are still considered bullish because the 8's over the 21. But this is definitely something to be a bit concerned about. When we look at ES on the weekly, it didn't do that, right? Like it didn't close under the 21. So whereas in this situation here on both charts, they both opened below and both closed above. So there's a little bit of a, you could say there's a little bit of a support happening here, and I do think that we're going to get a dead cat bounce at the very least this week. I do think that this week will be green. And I think we can go all the way back up to the 8 EMA, because that's typically what happens once you finally break the 8 EMA after such a move like this. It's not going to just go straight down. Like, the market's still bullish. People are going to be, salivating at the first dip that we've had of the year. And most likely we're going to head back up and probably touch that 8 EMA here. And the NASDAQ can move a lot more than the S&P. It's a lot more volatile. And so we could get a move all the way back up to the 8 EMA here as well. Now, depending on where we close, will give us a good idea on what we might be able to expect next week and the week after that. It would be a fair assumption of mine to say that we're probably going to close within the EMAs at the end of the week, and we'll see how right I am about that. But I do think that we'll end up staying inside this range in between 48.89 and 51.13. When we look at the dollar, it had a huge green candle, broke trend, closed over the pivot, right? And then last week it just kind of stayed just chilling like above it. And this is a spinning top candle. This is typically a trend reversing candle, right? Or at least you'll get one candle back down reaction out of it more often than not. Not always, doesn't have to. But we use a lot of things in combination to help us see what might be able to come, right? At the very least, we're going to probably come down and retouch this pivot. And then we'll see if we start breaking lower, and then obviously the 8 EMA would be the target should that happen. When we look at the Dow Jones, that 1.618 that we pointed out a couple weeks ago ended up being the telling sign that we were hitting a top in the market overall. And because the Dow Jones is like the old head, the one that has the most fundamentals in it, the oldest companies, it is a clear teller a lot of times on what the overall market's going to do, and a lot of people neglect to watch it, but I watch it because it can tell you things before the other charts can. And that 1.618 was definitely a sign, and all you had to do was just measure the COVID drop to get that 1.618. So I do think that we're going to get a bounce this week. I think the dollar could fall, and I think equities can rise and give us a nice little bounce. When we look at crypto is kind of a different story, and so I'm going to start with this chart first before I go into the others. So this is Bitcoin against the NASDAQ. This chart is telling us how well Bitcoin is doing against the NASDAQ. And as you can see, several months ago, this is a monthly chart, by the way, so, 7-8 months ago, we noticed that this was breaking that trend, and we saw a pattern that when that happens, we get this, right? And since then, we've been able to do really well with crypto. However, we've been hitting a wall the last 2 months up against the previous all-time high. And you can see that the last time this happened, we had an issue here as well. You can see we had a big move up and then a big wick and close below, followed by a move above finally. So if we go to the weekly, how many weeks did we stay in this zone before we really broke the highs, right? And so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 weeks before we went above. And currently, we are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on our 8th week. So I think we're very close to actually breaking this. And this is a pretty bullish pattern. It's kind of just getting squeezed in between the previous high and the 8 EMA until it's eventually just going to pop out of there. And that's how I envision seeing this happen. I don't see any divergence, right? This is convergent. This is going up. This is going up. So there's nothing saying that we're falling on this chart. If anything, this is saying we're extremely bullish momentum everywhere you look, and this is most likely going to pop up over it, which means Bitcoin will likely outperform the NASDAQ in the coming weeks. And it might start as soon as this week. We finally had a pullback on Bitcoin, right? But yet it still manages to close over the weekly 8 EMA. Like, it is not closing below, right? You can't say the same about the rest of crypto, but that's because Bitcoin dominance is extremely high, and we've actually broken into new highs. And I still think we're going to be headed for this golden pocket, right? Now, had we used this a little sooner, maybe we could have been better off, but I still think dollar cost averaging into your favorite altcoins is a good idea. Why? Because we're consolidating in this range. Now, could we break this 0.5 and head to the golden pocket? Absolutely. I don't know how bad it'll get when Bitcoin finally makes this move to the golden pocket and the downtrend. Like you can see, I've just taken the overall downtrend here. I do think that Bitcoin is going to stop here. So there's not a whole lot left in the grand scheme of things if you consider from where we came from. And so that's why I still think it's a good idea to dollar cost average your altcoins, because they're probably going to outperform Bitcoin in the next year, right? At some point we're going to get that huge move, and you can see that it only lasts this long. So once this starts happening, we got less than a half a year max of the altcoin bull market, and then it just chops compared to Bitcoin. So we're dollar cost averaging into what we think is the low. Could it go lower? It could. I do think that this 0.5 is really establishing itself. So to see this fall below here and close would be an indication that maybe we're going lower, but so far it's just been holding that line really well. And then from that point on, once we break the 382, then we're going to see that big spike and rally for a few months, at which point we want to take profits, because it does not last very long. You can see that the bull markets in altcoins are very short, and then the bear markets are very, very, very long, very, very, very long. And I think we're getting close to the end of it here shortly. If we look at Ethereum, I pointed out that my fancy PMAR indicator here, which basically is just pointing out the distance away from the 50-day moving average, right? And so when we're red on this indicator, we're very high above the 50-day moving average. And when we're blue, we're very far below the 50-day moving average. And we get these green flashes when it's the furthest distance away from the 50-day moving average than it's been in a certain period of time. And you can see that I've circled where all these green flashes occurred. And you can see that these nailed the bottoms. And we just got some pretty significant green flashes here. And this is why I started saying, a number of days ago that this is a great place to dollar cost average. With that, we've also been hitting the 236, and it's been bouncing. And so far, this looks like the sign of a strong trend, because whenever we get a retracement bounce on a 236 or a 382, these are signs of strong trends. Now, if the 382 breaks, okay, our trend's broken. We need a reconsolidation before we can make the next decision on up or down. But as long as 236s and 382s hold, this trend remains strong and pointing up. When we look at the ETH Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin's still dominant. However, there is still this divergence at play where this RSI is pointing up and the price action is pointing down. This is bullish divergence, so I still expect to see Ethereum make a significant move compared to Bitcoin at some point in time in the future. When? I don't know. The charts don't tell us when. We just see what's maybe potentially coming soon, maybe later. Either way, I'm still holding Ethereum, and I still like it more than Bitcoin for the next 6 months. When we look at Ethereum, we got a nice doji weekly candle here on the CME chart. I like this candle. This is a trend-changing candle. You can see we also nailed that 21 EMA on the weekly very nicely. So here's just now the third indication. We got my PMAR indicator, we got divergence on the ETH Bitcoin chart, and we have, what did I say over here? The 236 bounce. So I have three things telling me that this is a great place to be buying Ethereum. Could it be wrong? Absolutely. But when I have several things telling me the same thing, I tend to listen to them, especially when it looks like this. 21 EMA touches, 4-hour oversold RSIs, and all of these other indicators that I've shown you so far are great spots to dollar cost average things in bull markets. This does not apply to bear markets, but we are in a bull market. So that's how we treat it. Whenever you see something hitting the 21 EMA on the weekly in a bull market, that is a buying opportunity because you don't get them very often. Notice it's the very first 21 EMA touch since we crossed bullish all the way down here at 1730, right? So I don't know how many more of these we get opportunities for, but they're going to be very few and far between. When we look at Bitcoin, it still has not touched it, right? There has not been a 21 EMA touch since it crossed down here at 27.3. And it came close here, didn't quite make it, didn't even really come close here. For Bitcoin, I don't see us going lower than 58K. We might not even go to 58K. Whenever you have a mark like this, like I've had for a couple of weeks where I've been saying 58K is kind of the line in the sand, and then it doesn't actually ever even touch it, that is a very bullish indication where the demand is coming in before we even get to the mark that we're looking for. And this happens in bear markets too, where we're getting that move back up and we're like, okay, we're going to short at this mark. And it just almost gets there and then it just never makes it, right? And that just means the selling pressure is just so high that it can't even get to these major spots. And so the same thing happens in reverse in bull markets. When we look at, I think I covered it all. Yeah, I think I did. For Sol, I think Sol still has a chance, technically speaking, to continue higher and make new all-time highs. With that said, I still like Ethereum better. I don't really want to risk Sol. I think Ethereum is still going to be the leading layer one at the end of this bull cycle, and everyone's going to be laughing at all the people who said Solana is going to take over. Every cycle, there's like some sort of killer, right? Like last cycle, it was like, we're going to find the Bitcoin killer, and then there's the Ethereum killer, and and then there's Solana killers. Like, it's all a bunch of crap. I don't listen to that. I just want to see what the charts are telling me, and I think Ethereum still has more upside potential than Sol from this point, and I think it's still a safer bet. Could Solana still keep outperforming ETH? Yes, it could. But I do still like Ethereum more, and I think that it's lagging Sol, and so therefore that means I think it can outperform it from this point forward. With that said, the main Solana targets would be up here should we break the previous all-time high. We are still in the greed FOMO zone, so that means we treat it like it's a bullish structure, and we've had a few moves down now to the 21 EMA, which are the places you want to buy. So 123.40 is that line in the sand for me. If that closes a weekly candle below, then yeah, we have to start treating this bearishly. Notice that the MACD did cross bearish here on the weekly. If we look at the weekly on Ethereum, you can see that the MACD is also crossing bearish currently. So this is a bit of a bearish situation happening because of the MACD. Does that mean it's going to immediately just tank? No, because we're still above center here, we're still above the midline here, and we're still bullish on the EMAs here. So I think that we're going to have a green week in equities. Crypto is kind of 50-50. I'm leaning bullish, but being in between these EMAs like this, we could just kind of ping pong around in here for a while until we actually get a close above again for Ethereum. For Bitcoin, it's still remaining above the 8 EMA, so I would like to think that this is going to kind of squeeze itself out of here, while the total against Bitcoin against the NASDAQ will kind of start doing the same. And it might be a couple weeks away before that actually happens. So with that, I am finished with my majors, and if you'd like to make any chart requests, I will take them now. If any, I think I've been doing a good job answering them in the chart requests channel. So maybe you don't have any, or maybe you just gave up on all of your tokens. I don't know. Did you guys give up? Anybody? Arrow. Let's look at Arrow. Where are you? There you are. All right. I like Arrow long term. I wish I held on to a lot of what I had like way the hell down here. I think that's where I freaking bought it. Yeah, I bought it here. And I think I sold it like somewhere around here like an idiot. But that was before I kind of learned that it was going to basically be the token for base. Is kind of how people are treating it, since base isn't actually going to have a token. But this is, like right now it's just flat, right? Like it hasn't gone anywhere in a while. And the only way I would treat this is if you close the candle above that high, where it's obviously getting sold off every time it gets above it, right? So now that $2 mark psychologically is going to be the barrier, and then your support is all the way the hell down here. So that's a very large range. Like longing from here and your stop loss below here is a 21% loss. Buying from here and selling at that mark again could be a nice gain, and then wait for the close over to try to keep it going. But it looks like it might just hang out in this channel for a while. But basically we want to see that $2 mark break, and then we can head higher. And then where do we go? If it does, it's hard because I don't really know if I have a bottom here yet. So typically I would like draw this downtrend to wherever that is, but I don't really have one. If it's already in, which it's not, I don't think it is. The only way I could really play this is wait for $2 to break. So just set an alert there, set an alert here, and wait for that to tell me something. That's how I would do it. Go right here, and like just under, and then I'll like keep an eye on it. Besides that, it's kind of probably going to ping pong around in here, and that's a big swing. I wouldn't sell. Velo. Oh, I remember this one. Okay, I think I remember saying if we broke above the 382, we take it to the 0.5, and then ultimately we're trying to aim for that, you know, whatever sort of trend this might be. But if it, you know, take it level to level, I would maybe just ignore that. But you can see we did not close above that 382. So now we look at potentially getting a pullback back down to the EMA, and this could continue doing that until it either A, breaks the 8 EMA below, or B, breaks above the 382. But if you get a close, like even if it's, so you got a daily close, so you can't count on that anymore. So now you need a weekly close. And if you get it above that mark, then you know you can take it higher, and that'd be a nice swing if you can get it. It's like, wow, 150% if that happens. So alert goes right here above the 382, and then we'll see what happens. CKB. So this you have to treat bearishly. One, because we hit the take profit zone, which is in between the 1.272 and the 1.618, and then we close below. So there's your profits being taken. And then we close below the 8 EMA, and now we are starting off opening here and already starting to move down. So your downside risk is that 21 right there, around just shy of 15 cents. And you don't really want to play it anymore until we get a bullish cross on the daily. And you can see these are definitely bearish now. So definitely a profit taking area, and I wouldn't be buying again until we broke back up over that 1.272 or closed the weekly candle over the 8 EMA again. FXS. So alts just don't look great, and Bitcoin still does, and that's the problem. So I guess you could say we retested the downtrend and made new lows. So maybe that can do something, but this is going to take a long time, most likely, before it does, if it ever really does. So the MACD is now in bearish territory on the weekly. On the daily, it's trying to cross down here, and that would kind of be the first step. But sometimes what happens here is this will look like it's going to cross, and then it rolls over. And what you're going to want is a daily close above the 8 EMA here. You can see it tried, failed, and now we're rejecting it. So we want to see this move back up over and at least get another close over the 8 EMA to have hope. If not, then it might just fill this wick all the way back down. Hotkeys. Yeah, I still got my hotkeys. It's not doing great, but it's not like terrible for a new thing. It's bearish on the daily. It's got very little trading volume, and I'm kind of just waiting for it to pop one day. Ideally, we'd want to break this little triangle. Hopefully it's a bullish one. So it broke down below there. It's not great. What if we go here? Nope, still not there. I don't know. It's not great. I bought it because Dread Bongo bought it, and he's got a good track record, so I'm going to let it sit. And, you know, I don't have a whole lot. I think I bought like $500 worth. So we'll see if it turns into something. It's not good right now, and that's just because altcoins aren't doing well. But I think when this chart finally starts moving, that will do better. So Kuji, that took a nosedive. So let me tell you what happened here. I bought it here, and then it went up here, and I made like I made like 50%, 60%, and I didn't sell it. And then I sold it again right where I bought it. So I didn't get to take any profits on this. I don't even know what it does. I just know it's a Cosmos token. But that's, you know, it's holding the 382 there, so that's not bad. I'd make that my cutoff. If we came back down below 182 again, I'd just call it quits, because this is definitely bearish. If you wanted to get out, you could go for like the first 8 EMA touch, which is likely going to happen at some point, and it will likely reject the first time it touches. So if you're trying to get out, you can try the 260 to 266 mark here, when hopefully we get a move back up towards it. It needs to break 280 in order to resume bullishness and have a shot to continue higher. ENA. Altcoins are just a drag right now. Everything was so good, and now it's like, meh. This isn't terrible. Okay, something to work with. So the hope is that we are in like a bullish little flag here, and we're holding the 382, and we're going to try to come up and break that 0.5, which is the obvious resistance here. And should it break that 0.5, then we can try to take it up to the golden pocket and further. It broke its downtrend here, so that insinuates that this is now an uptrend with a bullish cross on the 4-hour, and we can continue higher. If we fall below 103.8, then yes, we got to consider this is going to continue back down. So 103.8 is your support, 111.7 is your resistance, and depending on which one breaks first will determine the direction that it goes. Matic, man, I'm holding a bag of Matic. It went all the way down to the bottom of the freaking triangle after breaking it. So now we're just in the same boat, and I did not buy more down there, although I thought about it. I'm kind of have a little more than, so what happened was we broke the trend, right? Came back down, and then I'm like, oh, that's the break. And I was looking for the top of the golden pocket to take some profits, and it didn't even get into the golden pocket. Then the amount that I bought after the break was what I had allocated for wanting to buy if we touch the bottom of the triangle again from here. I was going to add there. So since I added what I wanted to add here up here, I didn't add any more down here, and I'm just holding on to it. So I am underwater on Matic, but as long as it holds this yellow trend line, I am willing to continue giving it a chance. And I think that we could maybe make a break for it eventually. If we fall below that line and start closing a weekly candle under that, then yeah, I'm just going to get rid of it because it's likely dead. But looking at the weekly, it's holding. It's holding support here, little doji candle. Hopefully that shows us upside, breaks back over the trend, and gets back towards those EMAs here at some point in the next couple weeks. Link is one I wish I took profits on, and I didn't, but it's okay. I'm still up, and I'll continue to be patient with it. Back below the 0.5, 382 is the support now. So if we fall below that 382, then I'm just going to take full profits and just kind of, forget about Link and call it on it. But for now, as long as we're holding that 382 at 1233-ish, then I'm going to continue to hold. Depending on what your average is, maybe you want to do something different than me. My average is down here because I bought the crap out of it when it was going sideways down here. Wish I took profits, but again, I was looking for the top of the golden pocket at the very least, and we just peeked into it and have fallen. So I'm still looking for this zone up here to take profits on it, and I'm just going to have to wait a little longer unless we fall below the 382, at which point I will just get rid of it completely. OP, we are on a layer 2 kick. So this is still an uptrend. This is an old chart, but basically that's where we are, like so. And as long as that remains an uptrend, then sure. It seems like it's going to continue to be like super dramatic and have these large swings like this. So if you've been holding it for a while, just maybe the next time it shoots up and gets up in here, just unload it. Like, it's not one that's fun to hang on to. It makes you like euphoric and then really sad, and then euphoric and now we're really sad again. So if this makes one more juiced up move to these levels again, I got a little tiny bit of it. It's not much, but I'm just gonna sell it. Mavia, I haven't heard of that one. That's new. Is there an older one? Heroes of Mavia? Is this a gaming token? Looks the same. Looks the same. Alright, so not much to go on here. Maybe this was doing something prior to getting listings, and I don't know about the price history before that. So for now on the 4-hour, it is bullish, and you're going to want to make sure it stays above that. And the daily, there's not a whole lot to go on. I like that candle here that kind of asserted itself as dominant and trying to make a move, but ultimately this is pointing down, and we have to like break this way up here to become like confident in it. Let's see if that's a 1.618. It is. Look at that. So that's like your line in the sand. If you fall below that, then this is dead. So I wouldn't try to play with it any lower than that. And that's basically it. Extra. I don't know if I can look at this. Yeah, you might have to send me the deck screener on that or something. Drop that one in the, yeah, can you just drop it in the charts request channel and I'll look at it when I get there? I'd appreciate it. Block X. So it's not great. It's just an overall downtrend. If it ever does make a move above that, then that might be something to consider. It's too new to really draw any lines on, unless I just did the overall, and it's still not even able to get above that 236. So it's bearish, it's a sell, and until it breaks that trend, I wouldn't touch it. AIOZ, my son made a fortune on this freaking thing. And I pointed it out to him, and I didn't buy any. How's that for getting kicked in the nuts, huh? So it's looking good again, and it's starting to, curl these back up. It actually closed over both EMAs on the daily yesterday. So if this crosses bullish again, then this could make a big move. Question is where. So measure that, and that 0.5 is what we got to clear. So if we break 7643, then this could turn bullish pretty quickly. Let's see if we broke the trend. It did. So downtrend's broken. This is ready, I think. So this would be a good one to play long, even from now. And then you'll want to keep your stop just underneath that mark. And notice that we have the 8 EMA and the 382 in the same vicinity here. So like maybe placing your stop loss just underneath that candle's wick right there. So 675 maybe as a stop. Let's see what that would do. So definitely like a spot play, 2 times leverage max, with a potential loss of about 8%. And then if we're right, and this is breaking, the upside's pretty extreme from here, like 25% plus just to get back to $1. So I like that play a lot. So far, this is my favorite of the night. Bowden. This sideways. Is this okay? This is a meme coin about Joe Biden. Is that what I'm gathering here? Awesome. So it's like a bit like bullish, flaggy kind of thing going on here. I'm gonna do that. So try to buy the bottom of the triangle and hope for a break above. And if we get a significant move to the downside, then it's likely we're going to head back down to this little consolidation in here, if that doesn't hold the triangle. And if we do get a break up, so far we're just getting golden pocket sell-offs here. So sell off, we need to get back above it. So maybe this little 54 cent mark would be a good place to try to buy it, with a stop loss just underneath the 236 here at 45. and then hopefully we get a break above and take this higher. It's the only way to play these memes. You got to just try to buy the lows and hope it's a meme coin that takes off. Other than that, like if it falls below here, then we can see downside back down here. Hope that helps. All right. Hopefully the audio on this recording didn't come out super terrible. I'm going to have to figure out what the hell's going on again. It changes every time I open the system. Like every time I open OBS, everything's all different. And it never stays the same. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need a new capturing software, who knows. But anyways, thank you all for coming, and I'll post the recording in the Weekly Outlook channel, and I will see you throughout the week. I am bullish this week overall, but it could just remain neutral and sideways at the same time. I think the downside is limited for this week. All right, have a good one, and I'll see you later. Bye.